Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna film this intro because I realized that I didn't really do like an intro. I just sort of started blah, 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 blah. And so I wanted to film this little thing, sort of introducing myself and like what you're getting into, and say like a preface or I don't even know before watching this whole thing. A lot of this is just me yapping, which I hope that you'll enjoy some yapping. I love to yap. I have a space to do it. It was really cool to have this experience. But yeah, so I'm Ren. Hello, hello. I'm 26. I use they, them pronouns. I'm Korean American, originally from like, I was gonna say, oh my god, I'm originally from Ohio, um, but currently in Washington area. I was going to say originally from Washington. Um, yeah. What else? What else? What else? I would say when I turned 25 years old on October 28th, 2023. Yes, 2023. I'm like, what is time? It was also like the full moon eclipse. I don't know if people follow, but that really like awoken something within me to be on this path of awakening. In 2024 was really just this path of like um, opening my eyes to spirit. And I think I talk a little bit in this, but I got the call from my guides to do ceremony, ayahuasca ceremony. I think August, September time, and it's sort of aligned for it to happen for me to do it. Um, I was gonna say this year, but it's 2025 now, recently, and yeah. So enjoy my yapping about my feelings and everything going up to it, and then my um, experience of it afterwards. I'm gonna try to do timestamps maybe so that you could see everything that comes up, or like because I think I have like 4 or 5 different clips of me talking, going up to it, like doing the diet and whatever, whatever. So you can like click around too. But what I will say is before we start this, I do want to just call into space. Like, I am Korean American. Like, I am not of like indigenous South American, um, have roots connected to the Amazon at all. And this is a tradition that is based out of that. And this was something I thought about before going into space and talked about with a lot of folks of like how is this for me? What are my expectations? Like how can I show reverence and respect for this ceremony and doing that discernment work? And I think it's important for people who are not a part of the or don't have roots. It's funny because like roots, because like ayahuasca, the brew is a root. Anyways, if you don't have direct roots to this practice, like I invite you to, kind of think about if you're thinking of doing this. Oops, my eye. I don't know why I said oops. Um, what was I saying? It's the ADHD, for those who don't know. I really encourage you, if you're thinking of doing this and you don't have direct connection to this ceremony and the indigenous people and to the Amazon in a capacity, like to sort of think about how we can best offer the respect for something that is so important, and she's called the medicine for a reason, right? And yeah, cool. I guess if people are like just kind of looking to be like, should I do it or not? Not to spoil anything, but yes. But also, I talk a little bit about it at the end, so stay tuned for that. Um, grab any little snacky, grab a little bevy, and come along with me on this unfolding. Okay, I'll see you on the other side. Bye. Or not bye because you'll see me. But bye to this Ren. Hello to past Ren. That would be so funny if I did that. Like the, and then maybe that's the next time. I'm just talking to myself. Okay, bye. Okay, I think that's okay. I'm just gonna go. I should have a better way of whatever. It's fine. Hello. I'm Ren. It's December 4th, 2024. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. And I wanted to do a little vlog on like just kind of externalizing the process and like my where I'm at right now around like ayahuasca, accepting the call to do ayahuasca. My cat's like playing with something over there. I hope it's not too loud. Cause I'm not like one of those fancy YouTubers. I don't have a mic or whatever. I just use my phone. Yeah, so I've decided to do ceremony, ayahuasca ceremony on New Year's Eve, and it's a 2-day ceremony. It's a couple hours away, and I never thought in my life that I'd be doing ayahuasca. I'm trying to think about like the first time I heard about ayahuasca, and I think it was with my friend. That'd be so funny if you just saw that fly across. But my friend in college, I don't know in what context she brought this up or anything, but she's like, yeah, and I really want to do like ayahuasca or something. And I was like, cool. I don't think I like really looked it up or anything until later. Maybe I think there's like another person there, and kind of they were just kind of talking about ayahuasca or something. But I think that was in like 2018, 2017, probably 2017 when I moved out to college. Moved out of my where I grew up for college. Yeah, I have some experience doing like psychedelics. I've done mushrooms a couple times. I've done acid before. Were fine. Nothing super mind blowing. I mean, I think mushrooms has a way of like getting exactly like what I need to get out of it at the time, and I think I've done mushrooms like 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 3 times, and they've all been exactly what they needed to be. Yeah, I've had a sort of spiritual awakening too happen when I turned 25. So on October 28th, 2023, because I still remember there was an eclipse portal happening. There was one eclipse on October 14th, and then 2 weeks later on my birthday was another eclipse. And or was it like a full moon or something? I don't remember, but I remember looking at the moon. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Huh. Sorry, I just like put a lot of stuff together. Like that was probably the like boom, hey girly pop, are you listening moment, because there's this person who was a friend of my friends who wasn't living, like I think was living in like Texas or something. I met them in Ohio, and randomly we ran into each other at a party in Washington. And I was like, that's so weird. And I made a big scene about it at this Halloween party I was at. And we only had like an hour to talk. And then randomly they came back into my sphere of my life on New Year's Eve. And that was when I jumped into the ocean and shaved my head. And really started like listening to Spirit. Spirit asked me to take my facial piercings out. I had a nose piercing and I had my lip pierced. Later I find out it's like my one friend told me that like metal and stuff can really distract Spirit. So I guess maybe that was the reason why. I have no idea. And like probably the ritual of the who knows. But I actually heard the call to go on this like quest, like similar to like Vision Quest, but like it was like a quest light, a soul quest. And I accepted that call. I heard the call first time in January, then heard it again around February-ish, and then in March I ended up accepting the call to do quest and sort of got redirected to do this quest. And the quest was I think in like end of summer, August. So I was worked through the workings of quest from March all the way up to like August. And during that time of doing that work, it was really interesting because I was watching a lot of spirituality videos because, it was sort of this rabbit hole of first started with like astrology, then slowly moved into tarot, and then I was following the transits, and then I was following like channeling stuff, and then I found out about the blue beings or Arcturians, right? The Arcturians, and then kind of like fell into watching stuff about like ayahuasca, and I was like, okay, guides, like what's up with ayahuasca? And I still remember they're like, oh, because you're going to do ayahuasca. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, well, when? And they're like, you'll know when it's time. And I was like, ugh, because I'm nosy and I just want to like have the plan, but I think that's the whole point, right? So then I still remember having that conversation with my spirit team. A couple of days later, doing this art thing, meeting this guy. It was my friend's date, and he was asking about my art. He's like, do you do any sort of like, what's your process? And I channel my art, and it's like, have you ever done any like, I think we were just talking about like drugs and psychedelics and stuff, and I was like, I don't use any of that to do like my art. But it's interesting. Funnily enough, I recently got channeled in and was directed to do ayahuasca. So I don't know what that is. And he's like, "Oh, it's so interesting because a little bit ago, I like saw these people in the park or something, like giving out information about doing ayahuasca." It's like, that's weird. Like, oh, he was the first person I like told, and then I go, he like goes and like wanders off, and my friend at the time, who was also there, comes up and was like, "Did you say ayahuasca? My cousin does like helps out in ceremony in Mexico." And I go, "Oh, that's weird. Okay, so I guess there's a link right there." And then I ended up telling my really good friend at the time. She's like, "Oh, my cousin does ayahuasca," or like, she was like, "I know somebody who does ayahuasca ceremony, helps out." And I go, "That's weird. That's like, isn't that weird? Like the one time." Anyways, but I knew that it wasn't the time for it then. I ended up doing my Vision Quest thing, and I can talk more about my experience with that if people are interested. But then it aligned to do Quest while I was taking time off from school. Went back to school, graduate school, was being really like put in front of these learning opportunities for me, and um, through doing that stuff, and I think one of the lessons that I really learned is like sticking up for myself and being able to speak my truth to authority in a way that, yeah, just like confronting authority for my own authenticity, right? My own self-worth. And through that and bringing that into therapy and talking to my therapist about it, something just like clicked in me where it's like, oh my God, how much of my life have I been choosing other people or feeling like I can't, or gaslighting myself to not choose my authentic self. And as soon as that happened in therapy, I like felt like my heart like pump and activate, and my whole entire left side of my body like was like got so warm and felt like it turned on. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I've always chosen other people instead of me, and had this really clear moment of like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do school anymore. And it sort of settled in. I started telling people about it, and immediately in my came into my brain was like, oh, this is a perfect time to do ayahuasca. I'm like, what? So I sat with it for a bit. I started slowly telling my friends about it. Actually, the first person that I made a really close friend recently, and they started dating somebody, and I've been wanting to meet this person that they're in partnership with, and for some reason it just like aligned in the place where the day that the day after I had the realization, and the day that I make the decision to totally just be done with school, I meet the partner, and me and this person's partner start talking about like psychedelics and drugs, and they're like, yeah, I've done ayahuasca, and they're like, I think everybody, it's like, it's a really good tool. And I was like, oh wow, very interesting. My clock just turned to 10. So going down the path, I guess it's time. to work with grandmother, to do this work, to receive, and yeah, I don't know. I want to predict what's gonna happen, I think. But I'm like, I know for a fact I can't predict it. And that's the scariest part. And maybe that's like what some of my teaching will be. Um, but yeah, I'm nervous, but I think I'm also really excited. I'm really trying to take it one day at a time and not freak out too much about it. I think one of the things I learned in my last psychedelic trip, I was doing mushrooms, and a couple months ago, someone I reconnected with, the lesson I learned in that time was that trying to like find the thread, like everything is a part of the matrix, right? And like you can find it wherever, but also if you get so stuck in it, it's like losing the control, feeling like I have control of it, but realizing I don't have any control at all. And I just need one thing to tether me into this world. So right now it's just one day at a time, I think. And then it'll be ceremony. And I'm gonna be doing a little bit more vlogs going up to ceremony, and then I don't know if I'll get any video doing it, but I'll definitely, get like a before and after and do this as a part of my integration because I think it's important. And this, I think, is going to change my life completely. I feel like we're going through such quantum shifts, and I've been going through this process of like shedding and kind of this like dark night of the soul, and I'm excited to see what the evolution of who I am, my identity is coming out of it, I think. Yeah, I think I'm more excited now than anything else. Okay, well, next step, after I'm off, my moon cycle is over, really gonna kick it into high gear to take care of my body, to do ayahuasca. Yippee! Okay. Okay, well, today is not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. It's the 24th. Of December. In a week, I think, is when I'm doing ceremony. It's like this is horrible lighting. Okay. I'm doing ayahuasca ceremony in a week, and so that means I've been about like a week or so into the dieta, right? God, the ayahuasca diet, which is like, it's pretty limiting. Like, look it up. But I didn't realize like eating healthier and stuff, like how much of an impact it is excuse me, on my well-being and my connection to my body and myself. The first couple of days were really challenging, I will say that. Like, I noticed that my mood, my overall mood was really, my cat's playing with a toy. My overall mood was really bad. Like, I thought I was depressed. and everyone's like, "Are you okay? You seem so sad." And I was like, "I think I'm okay." I mean, I also like have been going through a little bit of a change in my life, but yeah, I wouldn't say I was like, there was nothing that really happened besides the diet, which was like cool to see, I guess, the changes, because it's now really making me aware of moving forward, like how I can treat my body better, um, by nourishing it better. I've also gotten like I have a pretty like intuitive friend that I haven't seen for a bit, and when I saw her, the first thing she noticed is like your energy seems really light, and yeah, I've noticed like my connection to spirit has gotten easier. My dreams are really vivid, and it's very easy for me to remember my dreams. And there's been points of like lucidity, easier to achieve that in the dream, and maintain a little bit longer in these lucid dreams, which I don't lucid dream a lot, but I've been wanting to lucid dream and have gotten like guidance to look into that more. I was doing that a little bit when I was growing up, but yeah. So yeah, it's cool to have this, I guess, to have a little bit more of update on this. I got the itinerary of like when to go. It's a 2-day ceremony. I don't know if I said that in the last one. And yeah, I've been telling people about it, and it's been settling a little bit more on what's in store for me. Um, oh, my cat does not want me to pet him. He's like right here. Do you see his little paw? Yeah. Maybe he's just overstimulated. I won't. I'm not gonna do it. Um, he's in his teething phase, so he's like randomly ordered to go. Rawr. He's so cute. How am I feeling? I mean, I think there's I'm nervous, which makes sense. I've never done this before. I've also I'm afraid he's gonna like it's probably not good for the shot. It doesn't matter. I'm afraid he was gonna knock over the thing that it was on. And it's a package. I'm nervous. I think I'm just nervous to see what comes up during the ceremony. Did you see him? Who could have not seen him? Yeah, see, he's moving a little bit. I'm nervous to see what comes up in ceremony. He was playing with this. Because anything can come up, right? In the unknown. That's like the whole point. And grandmother, she will teach me what I need to know in the moment. And I think I'm going in with like, I don't really know what I need, and trusting that the guidance will come through. Yeah, I'm feeling a little nervous about the purging too, because I feel like a lot of times it's inevitable, maybe, but yeah, I think that's my biggest my biggest fear. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, how do you prepare for the unknown? You can't, right? which is, I think that's a teaching, right, in itself, of like trusting, surrender, what that means to surrender. Yeah. I hope my cat will be okay too while I'm doing this. I don't know. I'm excited to see how I change. Because I feel like 2024 has been such an intense year of like shifting and changing and energy and like here and there and here and there. Like, I feel like we all kind of feel that of like, oh my God, it feels like we're going through all these things in life to like remember, I guess, to remember ourselves, to remember what we're doing. And I mean, I think there's this part of me of like, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I think that's also super freeing, but like, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm nervous that I'm going to go commune, learn. Spirit's gonna be like, hey, this is what's in store for you, and like, I'm not, and being able to not achieve it. I think that's my biggest fear. But maybe that's like also a lesson. I don't know. See, it's like if I think about it too much, then it's like, okay, you're getting in your head, bestie, me and myself. Yeah, what do you think, Halimi? What do you think? What do you think? You think I should just end the video? That's what you think? Because I think so too. It's 10 minutes of me yapping. Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe I'll do one more before ceremony or like while I'm driving to see if any downloads come through, and then see what's appropriate for my own integration of ceremonies. Yeah. Okay, hello. It is New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2024. Oh my gosh, it's New Year's Eve. I'm gonna leave in like half an hour to be in transit to get to the sites for when we do to do ceremony, and I'm gonna do my first ceremony tonight, which I think I'm it's settling in now that it's happening. And I'm nervous because I think there's this part of me that wants to know, right? Obviously. And I'm nervous about like I want to know how it's gonna go, but I can't know. I need to surrender into it. And hopefully, you know, ayahuasca, grandmother, will help me in surrendering. Surrendering and trusting. I think that's my intention for this ceremony, and maybe in the process of, you know, coming out of it, that I'll set another intention for the second one. But I mean, there's a lot of questions that I want to ask that I hope I will get answers to. But I know it, in a way, surrendering, I'm trying not to set too many things in mind with it. I feel like there is going to be like this ripping away of my past self and everything I've learned and helped kind of get it in where it needs to be, and then coming out on the other side. I'm feeling like it'll be some sort of like a alignment more to my truth in me. What else? Yeah. I want to say there's like more to say, but there really isn't anything else to say. It's, I guess, the last thing, maybe. I have been talking about it with some friends and telling them, like, this is the last time you're gonna see this version of me. The next time you see me, I'm gonna be a completely different person. And, you know, I hope that'll align and that'll come true. But again, it's like I am open to whatever comes through. I'm open to whatever I have to learn. In a way, I'm like, I need to work on surrendering and trusting, but like, this is an ultimate surrender and trust. Because I heard the call for this. I've been guided to go towards this as an avenue for myself in this journey of unfolding. And like, yeah, so I totally lost my thought. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be me and like 7 other people, I think. Maybe like 6 other people. And hopefully also when I'm in it, I can use some of the energy from ceremony and also the new moon and like the New Year's to help manifest, create something. Okay. Maybe I don't know how to do vlogs or whatever, but I'll try to get B-roll. See you next year. Okay. Today is the 10th of January. I think so. At like 4 p.m. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But so I ended up doing ceremony the 31st of, I was gonna say January, of December. And I did a 2-day ceremony. And I came out of that and I told some of my friends like what happened and my experience with it. But it honestly took me a couple of days to sort of sit with what happened, specifically, I think like the second night, and going through that integration process, because what I was told in a little bit of the research I did doing ayahuasca, um, it there's like 3 stages of it: the catharsis, the crisis, catharsis, and then integration. And the afterwards, this part really is the integration. It's part of the work. I'm going to share as much as I can about my experience and some of the stuff that came up during my ceremony space, and the things that I remember. And there's some things I feel like I don't know if I was truly meant to put words to it, that I feel like I won't share, which is, what comes through will come through. So I went to this place a little bit up north, about a couple hours away from where I live, and it was like this Zen cabin retreat that the place that I rented it out, or that coordinated everything, rented out for us, and I was one of the last people there. There were, I think, a total of 7 of us doing ceremony with the shaman and the shaman's wife. And the shaman and the shaman's wife came from Florida, and we're doing a ceremony for us out here in the Pacific Northwest. I can definitely like leave the information of like where I found this, and I just kind of like did some research, and but I was one of the last people there, and I think I got in around like 4, and then we kind of settled in, and then we did sort of like circle together as a group to like get any questions answered, and then we kind of just went into ceremony. I think it was pretty informative. I kind of went in like really open, and we were told to set an intention. So one of the intentions that came up for me, I was really like going back and forth and wavering between a lot of like different intentions, but my biggest intention for the first night that kind of came through, because I just was like wanted to be like open and surrender and let anything come through. I just had the intention of being open, like I am open. So the ayahuasca that we did was it wasn't a brew, it was made into like a honey mixture. So I ended up doing on the first night just 1 spoonful, which was pretty standard through everyone. We started with that and then like waited for it to kick in. And then the shaman also offered Kembo the next day, cleansing, and I think it's called Yopo, and if not, I will like do an edit or something or put in like what it was. And Yopo was explained as like something that we ingest through our nose, and it was like a kind of this like gas pedal onto the experience of ayahuasca. So which I ended up doing for the first night. The first night, I guess also as a preface is like, I feel like I'm going through sort of awakening that happened at the start of 2024, and something sort of happened where I was able to be more in touch with my guides and like have dialogue with them. Like I feel like my experience with spirit has grown through like specific activations and doing things that my guides have asked me to do to build a connection with them. So I was already beforehand like really doing dream work and like remembering and having vivid dreams by like telling people about my dreams. And I think it's kind of just maybe like a cultural or like an ancestral thing, because I am of Korean descent, and like shamanism really is prevalent in my culture. And so already having, yeah, vivid dreams, like being able to remember multiple dreams a night. I'll have like dialogue, like I'll like talk to my guides and they'll come through that way. And I also have been dabbling with kind of like magic and tarot and stuff. And through my year of 2024, really getting into like seeing little glimpses of visions and stuff. So I think there is this pathway that was already kind of open to me. And at the same time, I don't think I said this in my other earlier, but like I was really called to do this. Um, like my guides were guiding me towards this, in which this was something that was really foreign to me and something that I never really sought out. It was more of a like getting messaging towards like doing this process. So I think with all of that, I was able to experience a lot of like communication with the spirit of the vine, and like seeing and just like having things and knowing things. I hope there's a car going off. So yeah, so I was already kind of had the experience of like knowing things. Um, yeah. So I took a spoonful, um, and the shaman said it would take about like 30 minutes to an hour for it to cut to be fully like activated within me. But I don't know if it was like because of the space was already open with like spirit, um through the altar and like all this stuff, or it was like maybe I started like I don't know, my body just like kind of was like new, and it was like whatever. But immediately, I would say as soon as I like sort of sat in my space, went to my mat and sat down, um and we were doing this inside too, because it was like kind of, it was like winter time. And yeah, the door was kind of open, and the shaman dug out a couple holes for us to, if we needed to like throw up and purge into. So yeah, sat down to my on my mat, and I really kind of like focused in. I immediately sort of felt like this pulling, like going through, and this pulling, and like getting rid of this like shit, like it, I could like see it, but like feel like this pulling of like black gunk. And it went specifically towards my heart. And recently I've been doing a lot of like heart activation work and like dropping into my heart in that work. So it was cool to see that come through. And I was getting a little bit of just like like somatically I could feel it, like this like and then it kind of like went through, and it was doing that, and it would went in my legs, and I was experiencing some body tremors, which I've come to know that like body tremors for me is like physically getting rid of energy. So that was cool to have that experience. um, Yeah. And I'm not sure how long that was, maybe like 10, 15, 30 minutes. Um, that was sort of the main thing. And I think it started kind of like settling in a little bit more for me specifically. Um, I was pretty like regimented or like really like sticking to the diet and like doing a lot of like energetic cleansing and like meditation being open. So maybe that's why it felt like um I was like it was easier for me to access. I also feel like I kind of have a higher metabolism. So maybe that was because, but I mean I don't know. I didn't really talk with like the other people that much about like their experience, but then immediately like the spirit of the vine really kind of like showed me these people in my life that I had to speak my truth to, but in a different perspective. It's like I had stuff come up with like my mom came through, and then my dad, and then my brother, and then like some people that I just feel like the door was still open with, and people that I also thought I closed the door, but it seemed like there were more things to be said now, it being having a lot of separation from it. And it almost felt like, and this was all happening in my head, right? Because like you're supposed to be quiet in ceremony. Like I just like immediately just words came out of me of like really coming from empathy and compassion, and like being like, I understand why you didn't show up for me in this way, and like I love you, and I really needed this, and I feel really disappointed, but I forgive you. And it was really like emotional for me. I started crying, especially doing this, like speaking my truth to the people in my family. And yeah, and when I say people I need to close out with, a lot of them were people that I've dated in the past. So it was really cool to like be able to feel like I was able to speak my truth, and for them in the spirit realm or wherever to be able to receive it and actually listen and like feel like they received it. Especially because I feel like that is a really big wounding for me, is really being out of touch with my voice or like having some sort of blockage around speaking my truth. Um, and being sort of surrounded by people that don't have the capacity to truly like be with that with me as I'm speaking my truth. So that was in a way helping in the like um crisis and the purging process of that. Then the shaman, he was really cool. He brought a guitar and harmonica, and he was playing it throughout the night, and he was singing the Icaros, and like it felt really grounding to have that experience. Um, at one point, he walked around to check on all of us, and it was cool because I was starting to see a little bit more things. Like he walked by me, and I saw these three tiger heads, kind of in a geometric pattern. And the next day, he asked us if we saw any animals, and he's actually like tiger or jaguar. So I saw a tiger, somebody else in the group saw a jaguar, and it was cool to like see him come through in that space, especially because the shaman's wife said that she saw him as first time doing a ceremony with him as a tiger with like this like feathers on his head. So yeah, I think that's really cool. And then yeah, I saw some animals. I saw things about my family too, and like um, the spirit of the vine. She wanted me to call her mother. I know that she's like the divine feminine and stuff like that, and people have called her like grandmother and stuff before. And I asked her, and she said just like call me mother. So I that was my experience with her, and like I saw she showed me people in my ancestry, and like how there's like shamans and stuff in my family history, or like not family history but my lineage in this lifetime, which was really affirming. And I like heard the bells and the drums and stuff of ritual, like Korean ritual, Korean shamanic ritual. Um, and I like felt a lot of energy in my feet. At one point, I like saw auras, like colors, and I think it was my aura. Um, like I saw like a flash of like orange and yellow, and then like it was on my right side kind of vision, and it was changing colors, and it was like changing colors according to my mood, which is cool because I know somebody that is able to see auras and it like will change a lot, and she like told me about her experience, and it was very similar to that, and it was right here. And at one point this guy walked past me, and I saw with my eyes open like this little red dot over his heart, and right under it was like the light, and that was cool. Then we got up for to do yopo. I think this was about like halfway through ceremony, and that was really overwhelming for me. I ended up like I did it, and immediately I saw like this geometric. Thank you. I was like, what? Geometric like design of like just like pure white light when I could see it with my eyes open and my eyes closed, and it was like so overwhelming. I got really really nauseous, and I found myself like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. So I like went outside, and it felt really like simulation-y, and like there was like it just looked really weird, like kind of video gamey, like horror video gamey. And there was like this like it felt like this like the flame looked almost of the candles that were outside looked almost like pinkish. The tint was very pinkish, and I came back inside. I didn't throw up, but then I like saw a lot of like geometry and stuff, like sacred geometry stuff, and like um it's funny because I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I'm like feeling the nausea. And I saw a lot of like it felt like it was like what the spirit of the vine, like Mother Ayahuasca, looked like, but also it kind of was like kind of amoeba-y, like moving little tendrils, and it was like, and they were all really small. It was everywhere I looked, and it was like eyes open and closed. I feel like that's the only thing I saw. It was so overwhelming, and at that point, I was just like, oh my god! I just started praying because I was so overwhelmed. I was like, please, like help! I'm so overwhelmed. Like I'm so afraid. And that's when I heard like, because when I was asking like what should I call you to the spirit of the vine, she really wasn't like speaking to me. It was like this like kind of this knowing of like what she wanted. And then through that point I heard this voice that was like lay down, because I was like sitting on my mat. I was sitting up, and I was like, okay. So I laid down, and I heard her say, I'll take care of you. And then I remembered, and I don't know if it was me remembering or her helping me remember, the shaman's wife said, if anything gets so overwhelming, just remember to focus on your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, pass the energy through. So I remembered that I just like started focusing on that, breathing in and breathing out, and slowly, 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 I think I fell asleep. And next thing I knew, the shaman was like, okay, so ceremony's over. And we started ceremony at like 8 or 9, and I think we ended at around 3 or 4 in the morning. And yeah, he did the energetic cleansing, and I bring up the, seeing that little red dot on that guy's, because I was holding the space, and I didn't get cleansed, just because I asked my guides, and they were like, you don't need that. So then I literally saw the guy was like, oh, I have pain in my chest, because the shaman was asking that, and I literally saw the shaman like go over. It wasn't there, and then immediately, randomly, the little dot was there, and I saw him. He took it and he like threw it out the door. I was like, whoa, what was that? Like just the flicker of the light of the candle, or he was doing some work with a flashlight? And I was like, maybe it was a flashlight, because it was dark. He only had a candle lit, and immediately after he did that, he like picked off the flashlight from the table and was doing it. I was like, oh my god, that was like the coolest thing, because he just did that. um, I then I like went back to the cabin and went to bed, and I only got about like 4 hours of sleep, and I woke up and I felt really like I felt pretty energized. Like I didn't need any more sleep. I felt good. I felt kind of emptied out. If anyone's ever done like mushrooms or something like that, it kind of felt like that. And then we sort of like, some people did Cambo. I did not, because again, I asked my guys and they said no to me doing that. And then we sort of like had breakfast and then just like lounged around and had a lunch and like talked a little bit and did integration. And I was able to talk to the shaman's wife for a little bit, and she was super sweet and gave me a lot of insight. Things that I feel like I will hold with me. And at that moment, I kind of remembered that like, though ayahuasca itself was, and doing ceremony is the thing that called to me, I need to be aware of everything that's happening. And I got a lot of insight talking to her and some of the other folks there. So then the second night happened, and we were being encouraged of like, this is, the first night was an Oprah. The second night, if like you're thinking about wanting to do a second spoonful full or something, like doing more, like you have the permission to do that, and like really check in with yourself. And if you're thinking about it, and you can get up and ask, like, this is the safe container to do it. Because the first night they asked and offered a second spoonful and stuff like that, and I was like I was overwhelmed, and like the yopo still, so I didn't do it. So second night came through, and did the first spoonful, and again like kind of immediately felt it. And the second night I went in with the intention of like, I am love, so I wanted to be able to experience and like do more of that work. So then I'm like trying to think of like what happened. Second night I think I immediately felt it kind of in my body, and I saw more animal imagery. I saw like tree frog, and I saw owl eyes, and I saw, what else did I see? Snake. I saw like snake come through more towards the beginning. And was there anything else that I saw? I kind of forget. I did feel Mother Ayahuasca kind of like pulling out my heart again. And I'm trying to think what happened. I think the biggest thing that came through is like, during the first night I saw like one specific like shaman in my family, and the second night it kind of felt like she came up again and was doing ritual on me to like help alleviate and get rid of the Han that's in me. And Han is kind of like the Korean thing that we all Koreans hold, of like the shared hurt and pain of like Korea, and we're born with it and stuff like that. And it felt like she was like doing ritual to get rid of that. And the only reason why I feel like it was ritual in that way, and I kind of knew what was happening, is like again, I heard like the bells and the gong, or like the drums of like that they do in traditional like rituals, like shamanic Korean rituals. And I like immediately got so much energy in like my feet, and I had this really big urge to like get up and jump around. And that's like kind of like, you know, they do that. And I'm like, I just finished reading this Memoir of a Shaman book, and it's by a Korean shaman who just passed away. Um, she was explaining it like that, and I've never experienced that before, but in that moment I was like, oh my god, like I need to get up and start jumping, but I ended up not. And like after that I kind of just like knew that like, oh, I'm getting rid of my han, and I felt a lot of like body tremors, and specifically in my hips. And I've always had a bad right hip, and I played a lot of sports and I've always had issues, and it just like there was so much shaking and tremors, and like I was like getting really emotional and like crying, and like it was like really, it felt really intense on my body, and it created a really big release for me. um, and I think that was kind of the main thing of the second night, because um, after that I like nothing really came through. I kind of saw, I felt like I kind of saw like the light codes in the sky, and I was reaching the catharsis, sort of like I like was like feeling my hands and like my skin, and like just sort of laying there and like seeing the like movement and the energy of the room. I saw this like little like weird kind of looked like a portal opened up, and it was like it looked literally like a video game, like a retro video game of like Tron, kind of like moving through like, and like the polygons of like the 3D, and it was like I don't even know what that was. But then I just sort of was like, yeah, just sort of laying there for a lot of it, and at one point I saw me as an energetic body holding this book, and I was like, oh, that's the book I wrote. I haven't wrote a book, but I've been thinking about trying to compile my spiritual awakening in sort of like a book format. So that was like kind of a nod in a direction of like what is on my path, I think. And it was like very quick, and it was me as an energetic body, so I didn't know like what I looked like, but I just had this inner knowing that it was me. And then the second thing that was really interesting that came up is near the end of the night, I feel like I saw um, in the on my like right side, like kind of like right here. It's hard to like say. I saw the astrological symbol like Capricorn, Cancer, and then Pisces, and then right next to it I saw the date March 13th, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I wrote that down. I was like, oh, that's somebody's like big three. So I mean, that's later. We'll see what like if anything happens on March 13th. I looked. The 14th is a Virgo full moon, and I really did a pretty intense manifestation sort of like ritual and journaling on the Virgo new moon back in like September or August of last year. So maybe that's significant, that will come through. But yeah, I think what I really got out of it, both experiences, um, well, okay, and then night was over. Sorry, I'll go back. Night was over. We got up, did breakfast, did little integration, and then we left. And that was the 2 days experience for me. What I got out of it was, again, being able to speak my truth. And I think for the first night, I realized that like me being so overwhelmed in like asking for support and having like Mother Ayahuasca, the spirit of the vine, a mother archetype, kind of step forward and like hear me and take care of me. That was a really corrective emotional experience for me, because that's also some of my wounding in that. And not saying that there's anything that my mom did or like that, because she was doing the best she could with the tools that she had, but there was still a disconnect that like in feeling like, you know, creating a very organic experience like that, to have that come through isn't something that can happen usually, or very authentically or like real because I live far away from my folks, my parents. So it was cool to have like that experience come through because I didn't know that's what I needed, but that was really healing. And then the second night was like getting really in and like purging out this energy that maybe is more intergenerational, you know, and like stuff I wasn't even aware of. Like that was like it changed my life, and obviously this was something again that I was like really was like following my thread and getting to this point of doing it. I think it is a really intense experience, and you have to go in with a lot of like openness and trust, surrender, and like being really vulnerable. And yeah, but I think there's so much medicine in the medicine. What did I say? Magic in the medicine? Did I say that? What did I say? I'll look back, I guess, what I said. And she will bring through exactly what you need when you need it. Um, and sometimes our ego is like, oh, I know what I need, but like I went in and I did not know I needed any of this, basically. Um, yeah. A couple days after, um, again, I was talking about it with some folks, and I was having the presence of her still in me through my dreams, and like I was able to see kind of like colors of auras for a little bit afterwards, which I've never experienced before. But now coming back out of it, I definitely feel a little bit more like sensitive to things, and like what the shaman and the shaman's wife said. And yeah, I think that like that's basically it. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're watching this or you randomly click on this, and if you're my friend, hello, hi. And if you're thinking about wanting to do this, like I definitely would recommend it. The last thing I will say though is like, even though that I was being guided towards this, I always knew that I had a choice and I didn't have to do this if I didn't want to. I was really trying to discern what my fear was around it, and I was able to figure out that like it wasn't, it was more out of like the fear of the discomfort than like the fear of like my safety. And though I'm like, this might be a sign for you to do it, I think there's this the power of discernment to see if it actually is for you and if it's the right time. Like I definitely would say I recommend it, but there's a lot of preparation that goes into it that maybe the right time isn't now, right? So